What if your breakfast could quietly be adding or subtracting years from your life? Most people over 60 think toast and cereal are light and healthy, but some of those choices actually speed up aging. If mornings feel sluggish or your memory's not as sharp, these 7 foods can help shift that. And number 5, it's surprisingly powerful according to new research. Stay with me. The truth is that breakfast after 60 is not the same as breakfast at 20 or 30. At this stage of life, the first food you put in your mouth is no longer just about appetite or habit. It is about autonomy. It is about whether your legs will carry you with strength, whether your memory will hold on to the names of those you love, and whether your digestion will work with you or against you for the rest of the day. Many older adults, without even realizing it, begin their morning with foods that spike blood sugar, suppress digestion, and drain energy before 9 o'clock. Toast with jam, sugary cereals, processed juices, also common, also convenient, and yet also quietly damaging. What begins as a quick boost often ends as a slow fall, leaving the body dry, inflamed, and asking for more stimulation, more caffeine, more sugar. And little by little, the cycle of exhaustion grows. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, one of Japan's most remarkable physicians who lived past 100, often said, "To live long is to live light." His own breakfast was almost monastic. Coffee, a little milk, a small glass of juice. To some it looked too simple, but to him it was a strategy. He understood that the morning meal sets the tone for the body's entire day, either calming it or burdening it. He wasn't chasing luxury, he was protecting lightness. And modern science agrees. Dr. Andrew Weil, a pioneer in integrative medicine, reminds us that inflammation, the silent fire behind arthritis, heart disease, and even memory loss, often begins at the breakfast table. Certain foods can soothe this fire, while others feed it without mercy. What you choose when the sun rises does not just fill your stomach, it whispers to every cell in your body, guiding how it will age, how it will move, and how it will remember. This video is not about trendy breakfasts or complicated recipes. It's not about copying what younger people eat or following the latest diet on television. It's about discovering 7 morning foods, simple, natural, protective, that have kept elders around the world mobile, clear-minded, and resilient into their 80s and beyond. Foods that don't just fill a plate but restore function, reduce hidden inflammation, and give you back a sense of balance. So let us begin, gently but firmly, by reimagining the first moments of the day. The food you place on your table tomorrow morning can be more than fuel. It can be your first act of self-respect. It can be your first medicine. It can be the small, quiet choice that helps your body stay light, your mind stay sharp, and your heart stay steady as the years continue their path. Shall we look at the first principle together, the wisdom of the Japanese morning, where every meal begins not with sugar, but with something far more powerful. Start with moisture, not sugar. Imagine beginning the day with a mouth that feels dry, a throat that craves water, and a stomach that seems heavy before it has even received food. This is the reality for many after 60. Yet so often the first thing placed on the table is toast, cereal, or something sweet. These foods may give the impression of comfort, but inside they create more dryness, irritation, and fatigue. The body, already more sensitive with age, struggles to handle these sharp rises in sugar, and instead of energy, one is left with inflammation and weariness. In Japan, the tradition is different. The first act of the morning is not to overwhelm the body with sugar, but to awaken it with warmth and moisture. A small bowl of miso soup or a simple broth greets the stomach gently, like morning dew nourishing the soil before the sun grows strong. This is not a coincidence or an exotic custom. It is a habit born of wisdom, a way to prepare the digestive fire without overwhelming it. In Okinawa, where some of the world's longest-lived elders reside, there is a belief that hot liquids wake the organs. A cup of broth or miso is like a soft signal to the body. It is time to work, but without urgency or strain. The stomach does not need to fight dryness or sudden shocks of sugar. Instead, it receives hydration, minerals, and warmth that set the stage for smoother digestion and calmer energy throughout the day. A half cup of low-sodium miso soup, or even a simple warm vegetable broth, is enough to create this effect. It does not need to be large or heavy. It only needs to be consistent, like a morning ritual of kindness to the body. When taken before other foods, It coats the stomach, balances the gut, and allows the rest of the meal to be processed with more ease. Think of your stomach as a garden. Dry soil resists life, cracks under pressure, and requires more effort to receive water. But moist soil touched by dew or rain responds with vitality, allowing seeds to take root and flourish. So too with the body after 60. When the day begins with moisture and warmth, the rest of the nourishment enters a ground already prepared, already receptive, already alive. This principle may seem small, almost too simple to matter, yet simplicity is often the mark of lasting wisdom. A warm beginning instead of a sweet one may be the quiet difference between a day of sluggishness and a day of steady strength. And it is with this same spirit of quiet strength that another food combination emerges, one that has been quietly protecting memory and joints for centuries. There is a quiet hesitation that many older adults carry when it comes to fruit in the morning. The fear of sugar, the doubt about digestion, the thought that perhaps it is safer to avoid it altogether. Yet, within this hesitation lies a missed opportunity. Not all fruits burden the body. Some, when paired wisely, become medicine, feeding memory, softening joints, and calming inflammation that often goes unnoticed until it steals mobility or clarity. Among these, two companions stand out: walnuts and berries. A few soaked walnuts, softened by the night's water, joined with blueberries or dark cherries, create a union of strength. Within walnuts live omega-3 oils, gentle protectors of the brain and joints. Within berries reside polyphenols, natural guardians that reduce inflammation and keep neurons alive with communication. Together, they do not overwhelm, they defend. They bring resilience to places where age often whispers weakness: the knees, the hips, the sharpness of memory. This is not only supported by science but also echoed in tradition. In the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, elders long known for their longevity prepare a paste of fermented walnuts and berries. They do not describe it as a supplement, nor as a miracle, but as part of life, a daily rhythm that sharpens the mind and steadies the body. For them, fruit is not danger. It is clarity preserved in sweetness, wisdom carried in small bites. The habit is as simple as it is profound. 2 or 3 walnuts soaked overnight, placed in the mouth with a handful of fresh or frozen blueberries before heavier foods enter. Nothing complicated, nothing costly, just nature's quiet alliance ready to work when given the chance. It is not breakfast, one might say. It is armor. Armor for the brain that sometimes forgets names. Armor for the knees that ache when rising from a chair. Armor for the quiet dignity of independence. When the day begins with such nourishment, it is not only the stomach that receives protection, it is memory, mobility, and the fragile sense of confidence that age so often threatens to take away. And as the body learns this language of protection, it also learns the power of silence. Not silence of the mind, but silence of the inner inflammation that lingers unnoticed. That silence is what the next morning ally can bring, carried in a spoonful of something ancient, simple, and alive. Not all forms of nourishment speak loudly. Some work in silence, quietly shaping the way the body responds to pain, digestion, and even blood pressure. Among these silent allies are the fermented foods that have been with humanity for centuries: yogurt and kefir. Their power does not come from sweetness, nor from being dressed up with flavors. It comes from what is alive within them. The market shelves are full of colorful containers, many filled with sugar disguised as health. Yet the true strength of yogurt and kefir lies in their simplicity. When left unflavored, when kept whole, they carry bioactive peptides, small natural compounds that enter the body like gentle messengers. These messengers help the vessels relax, easing the burden of high blood pressure. They calm inflammation, the hidden fire that stiffens joints and clouds the mind, and they bring balance to digestion, a balance that too often disappears with age. This wisdom is not new. In Bulgaria and Greece, where elders still live long with clarity, kefir and plain yogurt remain daily companions. They are not consumed because of calcium charts or dietary fads. They are taken because they preserve inner harmony. They soothe the unseen storms, the small but constant irritations that age magnifies. For them, yogurt is not a dessert. It is a quiet shield. A small portion, half a cup, is enough. Unsweetened kefir stirred with cinnamon, or a spoonful of flax offers not only nourishment, but stability. It does not overwhelm the stomach. It does not provoke sugar spikes. Instead, it nurtures the gut, strengthens the immune system, and allows the body to move forward without the silent burden of inflammation weighing it down. Think of it as a gardener who does not shout or demand attention. Instead, he bends low to the soil, tending quietly to the roots. Yogurt and kefir are that gardener, keeping the inner soil fertile, the roots protected, and the tree of life capable of bearing fruit even in its later seasons. And once the roots are strong, once the foundation has been nourished, the body can learn something even more powerful: the rhythm of energy. Not energy that rushes and collapses, but energy that paces itself, steady and enduring, like a long path walked without strain. That rhythm is what the next seed teaches. There is a kind of fatigue that does not come from lack of sleep. It arrives suddenly in the middle of the day, when the eyes grow heavy, the hands feel weak, and even simple thoughts seem to fade. For many older adults, this slump becomes part of daily life. Yet often, it is not simply age. It is the body struggling to manage energy, digestion, and blood sugar. And the way the morning begins plays a decisive role in how this story unfolds. Among the foods that offer support, few are as unassuming and powerful as the tiny chia seed. When it meets water, it swells and forms a gentle gel. This gel slows the release of glucose into the bloodstream, softening the spikes that exhaust the body and cloud the mind. It also lubricates digestion, easing the bowels that often grow sluggish with age. Small though it is, the seed teaches the body a lesson: how to pace energy instead of racing through it. Long before modern science confirmed these effects, ancient traditions already knew this truth. The Aztec people gave chia to their warriors, not for weight or volume, but for endurance. They trusted its quiet ability to sustain, to carry strength across long distances and hard journeys. And in this way, chia carries the same promise for aging bodies today, not as a miracle, but as a steady companion on the long path of life. 1 tablespoon soaked in water or stirred into kefir and left for a short while is enough to awaken this transformation. What results is not heaviness, not bloat, but a smoother rhythm of energy, one that allows the morning to flow without the sudden falls that make afternoons so heavy. It teaches your body to pace itself, not race itself. This simple truth is what turns chia into more than a seed. It turns it into a guide. It shows the body that strength does not come from sudden bursts, but from consistent endurance, from the ability to keep going without collapse. And when digestion learns this rhythm, when energy flows with steadiness, the morning no longer feels like a mountain to climb. It feels like a path, level and walkable, where the steps are not forced but natural. This is the gift of beginning the day with foods that guide, protect, and sustain. And it is with this understanding that we can now return to the heart of the matter, the meaning of the first bite after 60, and how it becomes the first gesture of self-respect. There comes a moment in life when food stops being only about taste or habit and begins to represent something greater. After 60, breakfast is no longer just a way to fill the stomach or silence hunger. It becomes a declaration of how you wish to live the rest of your years. It can burden the body or lighten it. It can inflame silently or soothe quietly. It can make the hours ahead feel like a slow climb or a gentle walk. The first bite of the morning holds this power, and with each passing year, it becomes more important to recognize it. Too many mornings are rushed, careless, or filled with the easiest foods at hand: bread with jam, sweetened coffee, boxed cereals, juices from bottles. They may bring a spark of comfort, but soon that spark fades, replaced by heaviness, by stiffness, by the desire to lie back down even after waking. These are not just signs of age, they are messages from the body, telling us that the fuel chosen is too heavy, too dry or too sharp for a system that now asks for kindness. Kindness in this case is not indulgence, it is lightness, as Dr. Shigaki Hinohara often reminded his patients and followers. This remarkable physician, who lived beyond 100 years, repeated that to live long was not to accumulate but to lighten the heart, the schedule, the diet. His breakfast was not a feast, it was modest, intentional, and above all, functional. He understood that the morning is when the body sets its rhythm for the day. If you burden it early, you drag that weight with you. If you respect it early, you move forward with clarity and strength. Modern science echoes this wisdom. Dr. Andrew Weil, who has devoted decades to understanding how lifestyle shapes health, explains that the quiet fire of inflammation often begins where we least expect it, at the table. It does not always roar with pain. More often, it creeps silently, in joints that become stiff, in blood vessels that narrow, in memory that begins to slip. What is placed on the plate in the morning can either feed this hidden fire or calm it. And calm is what the aging body longs for. Calm in digestion, calm in energy, calm in the silent systems that hold life together. Think for a moment about what it means to eat with self-respect. It is not about eating less, nor about denying pleasure. It is about choosing foods that support the person you are becoming, not just the person you are today. A simple bowl of warm broth prepares the stomach gently. A handful of walnuts with berries carries protective oils and antioxidants into the bloodstream. A spoonful of kefir, alive with cultures, strengthens the gut's defenses. A glass of water thickened by chia seeds teaches the body to steady its energy instead of wasting it in peaks and crashes. These are not luxuries. They are small acts of protection, available to those who choose awareness over convenience. Each morning becomes an opportunity to send a message to your future self. Imagine the person you will be at 80 or 90. Will that person be able to walk without help? Recall the names of grandchildren? Prepare a meal with steady hands? These abilities do not appear overnight. They are shaped in silence, in the habits repeated day after day, in the choices that seem small but echo through the years. The first bite of the day is one of those choices. It is a promise made in the present to safeguard the dignity of the future. Food, then, becomes more than nourishment. It becomes a gesture of respect toward the body that has carried you through decades of work, love, loss, and resilience. The gesture of gratitude toward the mind that still seeks clarity, toward the joints that still carry you, toward the heart that still beats faithfully each morning. To choose wisely at breakfast is not to deny yourself, it is to honor yourself. So tomorrow, when the sun touches the window and the table waits, remember this: the first bite you take is not only for the hunger of the moment, it is for the life that still stretches before you. It is the voice of care you give yourself when no one else is watching. And that voice, repeated every morning, has the power to keep you light, steady, and strong as the years unfold. This is the hidden gift of morning food after 60. The quiet truth that caring for yourself in small, deliberate ways can keep you walking with dignity well past 80.